right, let's start. Yeah, so let's start with the DevNet as always. So a short update from our side. That line mostly wrote tests to kind of test the chain, well, kind of manually, but also with tools, I guess. And everything seems to be okay, so that's great. Does anyone else have any updates regarding the DevNet?
No updates on Nethermind side.
All right. Well, then let's start with the Hive tests. Yeah, Marcus, do you have any news?
Yes, as we spoke last week, I added the integration with the withdrawal contract to the Hive, and right now, what I am adding is the way to connect. I mean, the way to test the balance and the balance and the balance of the contract and the balance of the accounts that have been withdrawn, and basically make system withdrawals on the test. That should be done by the end of this week.
All right, and so how many tests are there from the Ethereum Foundation regarding withdrawals?
There are 6 tests, if I am not wrong, regarding withdrawals, but I am focusing right now on I mean, there are tests for reorgs and so on, but right now where I am just testing is the basic pipeline, assuming that everything is okay. I mean, not assuming that everything is okay, just following what should be okay and checking that things are not going wrong. Later, we will focus on adding edge cases to that test, to those tests.
Okay, so out of those 6, are like any done yet, or I mean converted to Gnosis, or is this still like a setup phase?
Once we have checked the balance, I mean, once we finish with this week, that we check all the balance and we are interacting directly with the withdrawal contract, we will say that we have finished the first set of tests that are the basic tests.
Okay, got it. So do you have a new estimation on when everything, I mean, the most tests, which are not very specific, like maybe not reorgs, but when most of this suite could potentially be done?
Let me finish first with the integration with the contract, and then I will be able to tell you more. Right now, I'm not completely sure about how far we can go.
All right. Yeah. So let's move on to the testnets, because Laila and I think that it's kind of time to start talking about, well, hard forking it. So yeah, basically we're not entirely sure it's realistic, I guess, to wait for Hive tests at this point, because we have to kind of get this moving. Hopefully our manual tests are sufficient to show that it works. So we would really like to move on to, well, hard forking the testnets. First things first, does anyone have anything to say regarding that, objections or anything?
No objections, but I think you more lean to 24, right?
So I would like to do this on the 24th. I don't know how realistic it is, because every consensus layer and execution layer has to publish conflicts and all of that. I mean, for Erigon and Nethermind, I think that shouldn't be a problem at all, but for consensus layers, I'm not entirely sure. Basically, I mean, on testnets, most of the nodes, I think actually all of them at this point are from Gnosis, run by Gnosis. but we are also opening the network up. Sorry if there is some noise in the background. So actually, since today, it's possible for anyone to run validators on Gnosis. On Shadow, because you can now, on the faucet, on the official Gnosis faucet, get Shadow GNO and Shadow XDAI, and the deposit UI was already also fixed. So the 24th is in 2 weeks, so that gives us that much time to onboard new people, to get the releases, and to make sure everyone can go through the hard fork well enough. So hopefully that should be enough. But if you don't think so, then please speak up. I guess that's no objections then. Erigon or Andrew, I guess, do you think that should be doable for in 2 weeks?
It's definitely doable in terms of making the code change. Hopefully, we'll be able to make a release as well. But in the worst case, people will have to build Erigon from our DevOps branch.
Yeah, I mean, that's not a problem, running from the DevOps branch. As long as containers are built and all of that, it's fine. Okay, well then, if no one has any objections for the 24th, then let's pick that date. If you think maybe it's better to still do it a bit later, on the 29th, for example, then, well, yeah, make sure to speak up, because once we're setting it in stone, we're going to start communicating about it, so it would be better to be final.
So on the 24th, the fork would be in 3 minutes, right?
Right. Well, according to your data, at least. I think it was in CET. Let me just check.
Yes, it was in. So these times, the ones I printed is CET.
All right, yeah, then it would be in 2 minutes. In 2 minutes. So during the call, which I think is also quite good, actually. So we are all present when it happens, and in case something goes wrong, we can see it in live. So
cool.
I think that's nice.
Fun.
And is this for Shadow?
Yeah, for Shadow, yeah. Okay. So the idea would then be to, well, I mean, it's probably unrealistic to do it less than 1 month later for mainnets, because for mainnets, of course, I mean, we have to make sure that it actually works on Shadow, and that everything goes well. And then for mainnet, we have to make sure that all the releases and configs are done in the stable branches. So that's going to take a lot of time for the consensus layers, probably. Again, I guess for Nethermind and Erigon, that should not be a problem. But yeah, and then we also have to give everyone enough time to update. So that's, I mean, if it goes well for Shadow, then maybe end of June would be nice for mainnet.
Okay, so there will be a month, right, between Shadow and the mainnet, so more or less.
Roughly, yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Except if you, again, have objections or think that we need more time or we can do it in less. I don't think less is realistic, but yeah. All right, well, then it's decided. If someone, I mean, if you all can, I don't even know who's going to do the configs. We'll figure that out later, but for end of week, we'll ask you to do the configs with yeah, the final configs, I guess. And
yeah,
so
we should update them today.
Yeah,
after
okay.
The call.
Let's do this today. All right, and then we'll contact also the consensus layers to set those in stone. Actually, we have never spoken, I think, about consensus layer change variables, but I'm guessing we're going to take the same ones at Ethereum.
Yeah, I think the last variable that we have not modified is how many withdrawals we want per block. We are currently at 16, which is the same as Ethereum. And so we account. I did a bit of research on the gas that takes its withdrawals. If I recall, it was like about 100K. I mean, I'm not an execution dev, so I don't have a strong opinion on either way. If we don't have any opinion, I guess using the same time rate as Ethereum would make sense. But I think it doesn't matter that much. Like, can any of the execution protocol developers comment on the pros and cons of having 16 or a higher or a lower value in terms of like security and other considerations?
I think 16 sounds good. Plus, we have 4 failed withdrawals, right? So it's saying a worst case, it's 20.
Yes.
But my approach would be like leave it as it is and like check for shadow how it works.
I guess really the other consideration in terms of UX, it's 2 things. So what is the maximum weight that you have to do when you do a full exit? And that's you just take the current size of the network in validators, divide by validators per block, and that's how many blocks you have to wait on the worst case. And the other one is for partial withdrawals. How fast does the pointer loop over everyone to do schemes? Because of partial withdrawals, like we will have 16 withdrawals always, forever. So yeah, that's something we have to take into account. If like 16 would be a lot of bloat or not, I'm unsure.
That's an interesting point.
So what's the question? I'm not sure if I get it. Sorry.
So there is a parameter, which is how many. What's the max withdrawals per block? What value do we want to set Gnosis to? Right now the parameter is 16, just because that's what is used for Ethereum. So the question is, do we want to change it, or do we leave it in at 16?
Okay. How much gas this is? Because I would think about gas here, right?
Yes.
Because the main problem is that this is execution on EVM, right? So the gas is the main problem. So how much is gas does this correspond to?
Let me pull it up.
Like in an average case, in the worst case, right? We had.
Yes, I can. Let me paste the PR on.
Because Gnosis is like still 5-second blocks, right?
Yes.
So that's one thing, and yeah, so one, we have a lot shorter block time, and secondly, this is consuming gas. So this is the main point of analysis, right? Everything else is like
yes. So I pasted the PR I did with a bunch of analysis for how much gas do withdrawals use. For 16, it's about, on success, it's 16,000 per withdrawal.
So not much.
So for 16, that would be 1 million. Then the failed withdrawal, if it's a failed retry, it's free. If it's a successful retry, it costs the same, kind of. So worst case, we are looking at 1 million plus 250,000.
You broke up. Worst case is?
Worst case is we have failed withdrawals and we're processing them, and we have the 16 that come always.
So that would be...
That's 1.3 million gas.
1.3 million. Yeah, that should be fine. But I wouldn't go higher.
Yeah, I would argue to go lower. So my point would be just use a rate that matches Ethereum. So 8, we can leave at 4 retries and then 8 per block. So at current rates, we have 100,000 ish validators. It will take 0.3 days. Well, let me use hours. 8 hours to loop over everyone. So the partial withdrawals would go through you. You would have a partial withdrawal associated with your index every 8 hours. and the worst case, the average case wait for a full withdrawal is 4 hours. So it's pretty short, well, at least for Ethereum standards.
Yeah, so we can reduce that. That would be even better to reduce it if we don't have
Yeah, if we
any.
do half, then we're looking at 750,000.
You mean cut by half?
Yes, eight withdrawals per block.
Plus 4 for failed, right? So overall 12?
Yes.
By the worst case, okay.
Yeah, then we are looking at 800K, like worst case, right? Something like that.
Yes.
And
A bit
average
less,
case
750.
probably around 500K.
So the minimum case and what will most likely happen all the time is 8 successful, so 500,000. We have to pay this for sure always.
Okay, let's do this. So I think no objections for going lower, but no one wants to go higher.
Yes.
All right, so let's do 8 then. That sounds good. Then every 16 hours you'll get partial withdrawals, which is still extremely quick. All right, Ryan, let's maybe sync on this after this call to make sure we define all those variables. All right, is there anything else to discuss for Chiado right now? For execution, I guess everything is pretty clear. There's nothing to define, and nothing else to define.
Yeah, I think so on next week, maybe we can talk about success criteria for Chiado. What do we want to see happening to kind of start to plan ahead and have this list of what we want to see happening. If it happens, then immediately after Chiado, we can pick a date for mainnet if we hit those list items or not, and be a bit more deterministic with the next steps. So we can prepare that list on our own, me and Philip, and share it with you if you guys want to add anything else. Then we execute those in Chiado, and on the 24th, if we hit the points, then we schedule mainnet.
It sounds good.
All right, well, let's move on to client updates then. Nethermind, do you have anything that is not related to the DevNet and Hive tests?
Not much this week, was distracted with other tasks, but back to Shutter this afternoon.
Awesome. Erigon?
Yes, there is one update. So Igor from Gateway raised an issue that trace block was not returning correct rewards on Gnosis Chain because of the reward contract. So now it's fixed in Erigon.
Which one value was wrong?
Sorry?
Which value was wrong?
Rewards. So it was just using the ET hash, like the mainnet old logic for rewards, disrespective of whether it's a Gnosis chain config or not. So now it takes the actual config into account and the actual rules for rewards.
Awesome. Guillaume, do you have updates for Geth?
Small one, but yeah, I'm struggling with the reward stuff. So I started. I identified that something was wrong in my reward computation code. So I started looking into Erigon, and I didn't realize you could actually get the list of rewards from Erigon. So Andrew, I'll be in touch shortly to ask you a couple questions. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, and my fixed was merged yesterday. So if you want to use that functionality, you need to get the latest Erigon code base.
Yeah, I'll sync and make sure. I can call it.
All right. Prism, same as usual, I guess. On the Shudrise beacon chain, I don't think there's been much updates. That meeting, no, I don't think there's anything new. So let's move on to Gateway in the chain infra. Do you have any news?
Yeah, I also see a couple of nodes already on the gateway, so let me address them first. So Edcon, I can't tell is it all or not, because I'm not sure what is all for you. But yesterday we shared the API key. We haven't got any feedback from the team who is working on this wallet. Basically, I'd like to get at least a version of the wallet also to see that we'll have no surprises, let's put like this. And certainly we are fine to raise the limits and add nodes if we see that the usage is like increasing in the ways that we can't handle with the like existing nodes. So if there is anything else for Edcon, I'd like to know.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I just wanted to bring this up because I think it's very important, but I'm not very aware of whatever is happening. So if there's anything I can do, I will do my best, but I'm probably not the best person to talk about this. But yeah, I'll make sure on our side everything is clear. So I'll try to get you the access to the wallet. And yeah, I'm not sure what I wanted to say either, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we can discuss it outside of the sync if needed. But I must say that it's not burn, but burner, like ER at the end of the burn. I couldn't find any burn bullet, so this at least I can find the repo.
Okay, sure.
And I really found out about it like yesterday, so I'm definitely not also handling all info about Edcon. It's just that RPC, the stable one, was needed. We were like proposing, but we haven't got any feedback if our proposition is fine, if the limit is fine, and if this period where the key will be valid, like Edcon plus 1 week after, is it fine or not? So it's still up for organizers and developers of the burner wallet to confirm or propose something else. Again, I can imagine people might want to use wallet for a longer time, but again, maybe not the best time right now to discuss it.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm happy you're talking about this. I'll make sure we get some information from Edcon and our side.
So about this launch part, the deposit UI, yeah, I already tagged you in Telegram so that you can add our developer who has a bit of questions. But I think till 24th, we should be fine with updating it. By 24th, I mean.
Awesome, thank you. All right,
other than that, I can't say that we have a lot of activity. Igor is sick, unfortunately. We already set up optimism nodes on our side for just for general RPC and to get the experience. And I think in the upcoming 1 2 weeks, we will be ready to do the same, like to deploy optimism nodes for the payment project for Gnosis. But yeah, when it's exactly, but like soon, but I can't share the exact date yet. Hopefully next week.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's it.
All right, well, I think that's it then. Does anyone have any other comments or questions?
Yes, I wanna check with execution teams. So closing the contract audit and looking at tooling, it would be hard for explorers to tell if withdrawal is performed or not without knowing the withdrawal index. So the information that you get from the chain, from the beacon chain, is a withdrawal object that includes 4 properties. So amount, address, validator index, and with a specific withdrawal index. And we are only forwarding to the contract the amounts and addresses. So if we change the execution system signature to just forwarding all the information, that would allow, if we need in the future to consume more of this information without a hard fork, we will just update the contract. So I wanna wonder if we change the signature, I guess that would be an easy change on your end, but I just want to make sure.
Yeah, no problem.
But would
Cool.
you also change the contract to store those indexes in some way?
Yes.
So that would increase the gas cost a bit.
Correct.
Yeah, we already but cut by half the overall withdrawals, so probably no problem there. We still have a lot of gains.
Yeah, it was just to check. I would do a spec update first, get thumbs up from you, and then trickle from there.
Okay, but we would need a new DevNet just to make sure it works.
Okay.
Or you might not even store it on the contract, but emit some kind of logs. But that's also probably a cost.
We do not store logs, so it has to be persisted.
No, I mean like an event from a contract.
But those from the execution transaction, those are not accessible.
Okay.
All right, Lion, will you make sure to follow up on this?
Yes.
Awesome. Well, if that's it, then thanks for joining and see you next week.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.